So does anyone know the answer to that question? Yes, you over there. Well, if it isn't the consequences of my own actions. Worn out places, worn out. Hey y'all, it's Evan back again with Fifth Third Trading. Today is Thursday, January 14th. This list will be good for Friday, which is tomorrow, Sunday, and into next week. By far the best part about that stupid bid I did was that absolutely nobody in history has ever had a pen holder on a podium. Only murderers do, I bet, and serial killers and crazy people. So that's great. I thought that'd be pretty funny. Secondly, it was very loud and folks were concerned, but I'm okay. What we're going to do is this is a beginner tutorial, intermediate tutorial for everyone who wants to get into Watchlist and the technical analysis. If you're a beginner, this is a great place to start. I'll show you everything that I know, do the best that I can, and really show you what you should be doing. This is going to help you couple your fundamental analysis with successful technicals. You'll find some great trades. If you're an intermediate trader, you know what you're doing. I'm the guy to look to for mid-cap stocks that'll become blue chips in the future. As well as Apple, FCL I called, NIO I called, a bunch of these big cap stocks that you play now, I called months ago, and the ones that I call now will be future ones that you can play very similarly. Lord. With that also being said, we're going to cut the video time down as much as possible, cut as much jargon as possible, but again, it will still be very detailed. If you're a big fan of the 45-minute videos, wait for my Patreon to go live. I'll be pulling back on YouTube and throwing out more videos on Patreon every other day probably. If you like that, that will be a choice for you in the future, for sure. What the video is going to look like, we'll have our intro as always. We're going to then do a journal update. We're going to talk about some of the stocks that we closed on and the ones we're still looking at. We're going to look at some of our top winners from the day or the week of, so we'll do some week ones today. And then we're going to get into the 7 to 10 stocks. I'll probably pull back a little bit on that for some people. 7 to 10 meat and potatoes, really good trades. And then we're going to do some honorable mentions, some stocks that may not be the best setups or not ready yet, but they should be mentioned for you. So if you're more into the 15, 16 stock watch lists, that'll be available, but a little bit less detailed. And then we're going to look at some viable plays from the week that are still alive like we do usually, and then our outro. So more structured. I really want to get this to like a show where it has an intro. It's like a very set up, like I'm going to have a sidebar, it's going to have everything, the whole schedule for the day. That's on the way, right? Just take some time. But with that being said, let's look at the journal and let's get this video started. So as we can see on my right and then to your left, hey, we have our whole list right here. As you can see, I'm making some modifications. Whenever I exit a position, I'm going to make it green so you guys know I'm out of it. Yellow means I'm still in it, and red means I have not taken a position yet. Now, as you can see, we get lower to the bottom. We have some I have not taken a position in quite yet. Some I'm still holding. Some I'm validated out of, 8, 9%, -1, L. We also have 17, 22, 17. So a lot of these are really working out well for us, which I like to see. But it looks like it's all updated, ready to go. Got to make a few more modifications to it. We're waiting on a few of these to kind of validate in. And also I've, something they may never validate into if they don't show life. I'll just put the buy-in price the day I had it, and then I'll just do my usual stop loss and put that as an L so I don't cheat. I'm not about that. But there's the whole list. Everything looks really, really good. Some good trades are ending. I validated out of a few today that I updated yesterday. So you can go back through and look at them. Rock looks really good still. BBY is still running up really, really well. And then Netflix, Ally, and Tesla I'm going to hold for the long term until they really die off. Let's check the big plays for the day and see what's up with that. So if we check yesterday's list, we'll go to Old Trusty Poop. That's the name of my favorite list here. FLXN, we called it. I said it's at support. It looks really good. I should probably turn off the volume profile because I was researching and I take one take. Looks really good. It tapped the support, and if you would have bought on support, it'd be up 8% today. You're welcome. KPTI, snack. Called it, up again. G-Sky looks good. Gurn looks good. OPTT is dropping in a channel. Watch for that one. So for yesterday's list, we have an overall big green day looking good. The ones that I called that were still alive yesterday, all are up besides Lulu, which is only down 0.03. EBR gapped up. Be careful. Gaps like to be filled. But as you can see, it didn't do it there. So it has a history of not being filled either. So EBR is running up, CDXC is running up, CGen still running up. They all look really good. The massive winners of the day, AQB we called, looking really good. BB we didn't call because that's impossible to chart. UNFI we did call over here, looking really good. Funko looks good. Our friend called ALDX, I didn't. Beyond up 10%, told you. ATNX we did call, looks good, up 10%, told you. DDS called it, looking good. Jill had a spike today, radar that one. FLXN we called already. Taste we called down here, and we wait for the bounce, and it's still going, looking really, really good. Surf still running, I haven't sold it yet. DIN, haven't sold it yet. FGen, haven't sold it yet. And then you keep going. There's some really good ones in here. Aggro we called weeks ago, and I'm still holding it currently. ETH looks really good. KPTI we already called. So overall, a really good looking green day. Eton was a really good play too. Sorry, I was wrong. Eton's a really good play too. That's still running up almost 12%. So overall, a really good list. That's my whole list right there for you. I look through it every single day. ARCT looking good. So there looks like that same sector is getting beat down today. So those are red plays for the day. I'll be looking at later. But overall, a really good green day. A lot of big winners today for us. With that being said, let's get into this watch list. All right, so for today, as I described, I'm going to have 7 to 9 meat and potato stocks. They're going to be the ones that I have the most faith in. Then we're going to do, this will be like 2-3 minutes of stock. Then we're going to do 5 or 6 that are maybe a minute of stock, right? Rapid fire. Like, this is really good, but it's missing this. This is really good, but it's missing that. That way, you guys can, if you really want to do just the 6 to 9, do the first ones. But if you really like the in-depth, longer ones, you'll have some extra at the end for you. So we're probably going to cover 20, 30 stocks a day, given the ones that we've already looked at, which is a lot. So again, I suggest you pause the video, click around the video. It was never my intention for you to watch 100% the way through. If you choose to, you're dope. If you don't, you see ARCT's price action, you hate it, just skip it. There's chapter notes for a reason. You don't like it, skip to EGP. If you don't like that, go to EVTC. If you don't like that, go to KTRA, right? Do not waste your time, try and make me happy or whatever. Just go through and click what you like. All right. So let's look at the first one. ARCT, ARCT Therapeutics. And again, check why it dropped off. Do your fundamental research. I trust you to do so. But this is a rarity. It bounced right at the support area right here and lived fine. Most of these take forever, and now it's coming back up. The question is this the first pullback, first major pullback of a bigger move? Or is it coming back down to earth? Either one may be fine. You can see an obvious resistance area right here that it didn't live. Low volume must be which makes sense for a wick here, but it's building up some strength. So if you like these kinds of plays, it's right above the volume profile. If we zoom in real quick, you can see that you'd have a stop loss maybe 5%. You want to really make sure it's showing lower lows. And again, it is definitely, channeling down here. Right, and that's obvious. You can tell with the larger scale. It's really channeling down. So again, you may, if you really want to wait for it, you want to wait for it to break above your channel line. So draw that yourself and break above it. That'll show you some real strength. But it's at a great value here. If it does live, it's going to be a really good play. Let's check the indicators. It's holding the 50. That's going to be probably your main key on the EMA lines. It breaks out, you're good. 200 is going to be a resistance moving forward. Make sure that when it breaks above that, you can go long. Again, when it crosses both of them, you get major moves. That's very true with a lot of stocks, but I like to beat that in your guys' stupid heads because it's really important to understand that. When it crosses both of them, go long. It's like a MACD crossover, but in real time. RSI, you made money when it got oversold every single time. It's fair. That's because it's on a huge uptrend, so that would make sense why it's only fair. Stochastic is only fair because of the big uptrend, but Vortex is low, right? That's why I like Vortex. There's a lot of negative volume. It needs to break above. So it's in an area of reversals for the for Vortex, but again, let's just do this. It does take on average 6 days. This downtrend took 15 days. This one took 9 days. So you want to, that's a really good strategy. You want to see how long it's going to take. There's a potential. It's at day 2. So in theory, you have about 4 days, 3 days to watch this to really see if it's going to reverse or not. But it's at a good value. Indicators are fair. So let's see what happens. But ARCT is a really good setup for the future. Next is EGP, East Group Properties. And again, Realty's been a real hot one recently. What I like about this one the most is that it's definitely showing higher lows as we go through it. It's making a triangle. It's not a pure one, okay, but that's right there. And as you can see, triangles lead to big moves. It cuts through the middle of that peak, which I don't love. But at the same time, I can just come over here and say, hey, look, it's a triangle. So it's definitely consolidating. Just like a spring consolidation means a big move is going to be coming. You can also see there's a clear support area right around here. I just go from this little peak right here, which lines up well with these over here. There's definitely a support area, key term area, right? It doesn't know it's a line or not. It could break through just fine. That's your support area, right? At that POC that we have. So you have the channel up, you have a POC holding it, and it's right in value. Again, a really easy stop loss area. If it breaks up above, easy, 3%. Doesn't sound like a lot, but again, 3% for your first move, and then hopefully you can see 11% within a few weeks or a month pretty easily. We're good setup. Let's check the indicators. So it looks good, and again, this is why people have some problems is when they have the indicators on while they scan. This looks bad, right? I mean, like, if you look at the price action, it doesn't look that promising just because of it gets so squished. So again, I suggest you scan with the indicators off and then go back through and check them. EMA lines, it's holding both of them. They're consolidating too. And again, if it breaks above both of them, huge sign to go long. You see how when it breaks above both of them, it goes long every single time. Again, if it breaks above them, go long. If it dies, you need to reevaluate where it may die to. Maybe to the 130s, probably down to the 126s, and at worst case down here. So again, it needs to break both these to go long is your definite buy signal. RSI is fair. Again, it's uptrending. Stochastic is fair. It's uptrending, but we do see some reversals. You see in this area, like over here, you see how it reversed right in this area, or over here, it reversed right in this area. Be dynamic. This is not just a linear thing. These are not, just static sitting around. You got to be outside the box. And then Vortex is over, again, because it is melting up and going up. So indicators look fair, especially if tomorrow's a green day. But Fridays are known for selling off, so I'd be careful. But EGP is a good setup. Next is EVTC. Again, a very similar setup. It's just a channel up. You should be aware that I drew mine a little high because I don't want to miss the move. But you could easily put your channel down right here, and then this could be your next buy-in spot, right? But I would have missed this move, and this move over here. So I moved it up just for my own personal buying power. If it does come down to the 38, I realize I'm opening myself up to about 2.8% more risk. So put your lines wherever you want to put them. And again, I'll have this exact chart in the description box for you. But just beware, if it does break it, do not freak out yet, okay? Because you can see, and I wait to draw you sometimes, you can see an obvious support area right here that led to that bounce. You can see an obvious support area right in this area. You can see, move it up and see right there. But I'll say right about here, right? You see that, step up. You see this kind of like resistance holding it down, but you could also see this old resistance right here propping this will move up. So as you can, that's fine. So you can see how it makes staircases, right? A lot of these channel ups do that. You need to practice your supports and resistances and your channel ups where they meet to where you want to buy in. So there's a pretty fair chance may drop down to 37.7. And if that happens, you buy in there. But again, this is definitely in the buying area, channel up. I don't got to be a dead horse. You know what to do. Let's check the indicators. All right, it's a 50 EMA bounce play. You see how it goes off the 50 EMAs and it breaks it like a trampoline. But again, you need to be aware that it does also correlate to 200 bounces. You see how these lines get really close together? See that? So that's going to be your worst case scenario. If it does break, the 200 should be very relatively close to this support line. So 37.67 will be your buy-in worst case scenario if this does break here, which it could. I mean, the RSI does get oversold. The stochastic hasn't got much lower than where it is right now, and the Vortex is still moving up. But again, when the Vortex does cross, you see how long these moves are? These are long moves. These are take days. Maybe even, this one took a whole month almost. So we just crossed green. So we have some room to run. It doesn't traditionally have very small blips of green, so that's a good sign as well. So I think it may come down a little more and then pop off. But again, EVTC, you got a game plan. I would definitely go along when you see it show some life, for sure. Searching for things KTRA, KTRA Therapeutics. This is a careful one. This is a tricky one. You need to be very careful. This is a lot of context. You see how today, I didn't call it yesterday because it was right here, and I was waiting for it to get down to 128, and it got down to 129, and it came back. See how it came down? It came back up, came all the way up here, and now it came down, came right back up. So it's still pushing up right now, okay? The thing you need to understand and realize is that it's technically still uptrending, okay? It's uptrending. But again, you need to be careful that your first resistance is around 147. So it definitely has room to run, of course, but it also has a history of dying in the same exact area that it's in right now. You see how this line right here, if I put my cursor there, a lot of price action stops there, like over here. Last thing you want to do is buy right now and then drop stuff tomorrow when you drop off 8% and you got burned on it. Now, it does have relatively low volume, 25, 35, 65,000 every 4 hours. So if you get stuck, you're stuck. So you got to be very careful. If you like how it looks, yeah, go long, dude. This is a great setup. But if you're much more adverse and scared of risk, wait for a drop back down. I've been saying that it tapped, so it's technically still uptrending. But the moves do relatively go pretty slow. So be very careful. It will burn you if you don't have a proper stop loss and have a plan. But it's a good setup. If it dies tomorrow, dope. If it does die and gets back down to 129, I would definitely option call it and go long and hope to try and break 140. That'd be your goal. But it's a really good look. Let's check the indicators. So, and again, it makes its biggest moves when it breaks both EMA lines. I say that again, but being a dead horse, it's important for you. So it needs to break. See how it's holding it? It needs to have one more green one, and you're good to go. You could also see a lot of historical candle setups, like 1, 2, 3, green, the 3 soldiers, and it takes off. It has bullish engulfing. I mean, you got to really practice these kinds of things. So I don't see any candlesticks yet. If I see one more green one that's pretty big, I would go long. RSI is fair. Stoch, it says, there's plenty of room to run, which is great. And Vortex just crossed red. So it's definitely has room to drop a little bit more, but also Stoch says it has room to run. So the jury's out. I'd be very careful, but KTRA is a great setup when it drops a little bit. But even tomorrow, if it runs up green, it's a green day. Great pick. It is a rarity that Evan calls himself Dr. Stupid. Just kidding. It's a rarity. That's all the time. That he calls a blue chip, but it's a perfect ascending triangle. I mean, you don't beat this. It's right at the POC. That's a very strong support. Right below a support at a channel. I mean, what else do you want? 214 is a little expensive for some of you, but again, if you can afford 10 or 100 shares of a $2 stock, you can afford one of these for the same exact outcome. Looks really, really good. If it does pop off like we want, easy 6 or 7%. It's a blue chip stock. It's going to last for a very long time. It's a very safe buy. Check the news. Make sure Microsoft doesn't have anything bad going on. But it's a great setup. If you like to wait for candlestick patterns, like 3, a doji, a bullish engulfing like here, just wait. But again, it's really in the area of value that you want to see. Higher lows across the board, this whole move up. It's primed to break out eventually. Microsoft's a huge company. It's just a great setup. Let's check the indicators. 39 RSI, oversold. Stochastic says it can drop a little bit more. I intend and think it's going to. Vortex can't get much lower. These 3 look good. RSI, or not RSI, EMA lines, it needs to break both these. You can see how it died at the 50. That's going to be your real test to go long when it breaks above at least one of them. It'll probably be the 51st. It'll probably come down a little bit quicker. I'll probably overtake that. But again, even if it overtakes the 200, you see how the 50 blocked this one and the 50 blocks that? The 50 is what you got to watch. When it overtakes the 50 and holds, goes up and retests it and keeps going, that's your signal. But again, it's a really good setup, perfect price action. I like it a lot. Next is now NOW. Yes, before you complain, it's $500. But I do not skimp on the info. I don't adjust things. I call what the market shows you, and now is a fantastic setup. It's one of the easiest channels you're going to see in the stock market. I mean, the consistency is what you're paying for, right? If you can afford a $500 stock, which most you can, you just buy 1 share, you're good, right? You may want to see it come down a little bit farther, but again, you're talking making easily 10% on a move. That's $50, all right? So don't think that, it's $500, I can't afford 10 of them. You're not supposed to. You're supposed to buy 1 or 2 shares of this, diversify your portfolio, Service Now Inc. must be massive and must make some really good moves. So a little bit lower volume, 260, 500,000 a day. So it may come down a little bit farther, but again, it's even gearing up with a little triangle right here, a little baby triangle, little baby right there. So it's making a little cutie patootie right now, and it's going to make a big move eventually. You have a stop loss, very clear areas of your stop loss, and you're good to go. But now is a great channel up, great setup. I like it a lot. Let's check the indicators. So it was riding the 200 and it just broke it, but again, it does that. See how I did that before, and then it just went up to 50. That's going to be your real buy sale or your buy call. When it goes above the 50 and holds it, that's going to be when you want to go long for sure. RSI is fair. That makes sense. It's really moving up. Stoch is in the middle. That makes sense. It's moving up. And RSI is consolidating. Again, because it's a triangle, it's making these kinds of shapes. When it's a triangle, it kind of, peters off into the middle. So good setup. Really, really easy read. Really clear, stop losses. I like it a lot. And again, it's $500. But again, you're paying the extra money for less shares for the security and the easy read. That kind of makes sense to me. It's a good purchase. Next is RVP. We called it literally right here, said, hey, that bad boy made it in the channel. And we bought in. It went up almost 17%. And again, around 10%, I institute like a 2% stop loss usually if I get close to my goal, which we were. And then around 15, I make it, I just make sure it keeps moving up. So we made about 15% on this play. It dipped down, and now it's showing life. Now again, this is a pullback, right? This is our first big pullback, and now it's showing some life. It's also not really near an area of support. I would say the area of support's probably a little bit lower, like in this area, right here, and then possible anywhere in here. That's going to be your support area really moving forward. So you're opening yourself up to more risk by buying in tomorrow. But again, it's 10% worth of risk to take this. But again, you've had higher lows every single time. Every single time you've had a big move. So this is definitely a big move. You see how it tapped in, consolidated, and took off. If it does consolidate tomorrow some and then takes off, I definitely buy in. But RVP moving forward, this is such a beautiful, again, very beautiful channel up. I mean, it doesn't break it, so I wouldn't be too concerned. And again, this has really pushed the resistance up much higher. So you have plenty of room to run. RVP is a great pickup. Let's check the indicators. Then again, you have the 200. So you have that with a support and a channel. That's beautiful. It needs to break and hold the 50. You can see how this was a 50 retest, how it's coming down to retest the 50. And now it's coming back up. That's a good sign. And again, if it breaks above the 50, you're going to have some really wildly large moves possibly. So that's a really good sign if it does break and hold it. RSI is fair, Stoch's fair, Vortex is fair. Again, it's melting up, it's going upward. You can't really get many good deals on an upward trend, right? But again, really good price action setup. RVP, I like it a lot. Last of our blue chip today, our meat and potatoes, is SEEC. What a great setup. Again, another beautiful channel up. It does this, it has lower ones, it has bigger ones, but it's definitely across the board. Hit this channel and made some moves. It's at support. I drew the support line earlier today, and you can see it bounced right there, which is weird because it always seems to do that. It's odd, but it's right there. It's showing life, 0.8%, nothing to laugh at. It's a little something, little nugget. And you have plenty of room to run up. And again, you may make 7%, 6% on one big swing move, but again, you could also catch one that makes you easily 20. This one made 15. So again, it's at a really good area of support. Note though, it does get farther into the channel than it has been where it is right now. So it definitely has gotten farther into the channel for moves. Right there it didn't, but again, it also has not touched the channel and made good moves. So it's a good area of support right above the volume line. It looks really, really good. So I'd be remiss not to mention the 200 is probably going to be where you make a play, but it also does stop clear before the 200 multiple times. So the channel is probably what I would go off of. This 200 will be your stop loss, and worst case scenario, 3.9%. It's not bad. RSI is oversold, like first one today. Stoch is low and Vortex is low. This is the first stock where all three really look good, which is really nice to see. It's at a support area. It will need to break the 50, and when it does that, it'll look really, really good. But C is a beautiful setup. I like it a lot. One thing I didn't mention, I want to mention really quick, is that with RVP's volume profile, do you see what happened? Do you see how this is down here? Do you see how now it's moved up almost $5 of where the central volume is? That's a massive sign of strength. This shows that the volume is now moving up here, and the old news, the old area, is now going to be considered more irrelevant than over here. If this starts to really consolidate up higher, this bottom line will also move up with it. As you can see, it also moved up just a little bit, which isn't a lot. You see how much it moved up? Maybe like a few pennies. But that's a few pennies you can kind of conceptualize and say, my risk is now a few pennies less, worst case scenario, which is a good sign. So that's why I use volume profile. That's why I chart it like this. Because if it does change on me, I notice these things, and now that I'm buying in a few days later, I'm much more confident. It's a good look up. It's a good thing to look up for you. Let's check out our B list and our our side dishes today. So with the other stocks that I would call usually, we're gonna go through them quickly. They're not as good. They're missing something that I don't like, and I want to see them in a few days possibly. But they should be on your radar for tomorrow as well. Just not as number one as the other ones. First is BURL. Again, good support area, as you can definitely see it. It's only been tested twice though, and again, I like to see it tested 3 times. Channel up looks really good, but again, I could argue that that's a channel up and it's been broken. Right, like right there. But again, I'd be remiss not to mention they could also be just like that. So, as retesting a channel resistance as a support, it's at a support area. It's a good setup. I don't love it though. Indicators look like this. It broke the 50, not great news, and it's kind of coming towards the 200 where it likes to bounce off of. RSI is low, Vortex is low, and Stoch is low. So again, the indicators say a reversal is coming. It may hit the support line or the 200. BURL's a good setup, but it's not really perfect as I like the other ones, but it's a good setup. BURL, again, is just a trend lined up. It is pretty steep. It's a good 33% exhausted, so about 15% a month it's looking at. It needs a touch as a support, I think. So I don't think this is really going to hold that well. But if it does hold, I definitely buy it. I just don't love the price, $254 for what you're getting here. I have no other indicator. I have no other, there's no profile line. It doesn't really converge like you want to see it. It's just kind of like, this doesn't hold, and then maybe this will hold, and then your support is possibly down here, and that's also far away. So it's a good setup. It's okay. Let's check the indicators. So it's a 50 EMA bounce. Take that into consideration. It is overbought, or it was overbought. Now it's coming down. Stoch is low. Vortex is consolidating. So again, the indicators aren't really here nor there. The stock is probably the best one for you in your favor. It's a 50 EMA bounce. If it holds that, go long. If not, I wouldn't. But again, for the price, it's okay. CLNE, I'm biased because I bought it here and sold it for over 100%, so I like this one a lot. But again, this channel up is a very steep channel. But I mean, it survived 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 5 times. And again, you have plenty of room to run up. But again, the only thing going for you is this channel. There's probably going to be a 50 EMA bounce involved or 200. But again, you could easily drop 10 more % to really get to an area of value. So it's just the trend line, which again has validity. But you could also see over here, that's a support area. That's a support area. So I think it may drop, or this may be the end. But one could argue that this is a support area, but it would be, a good 5% away. So let's wait and see. It's okay. Let's check the indicators. Yeah, 50 EMA bounce. It's probably going to drop. So I would wait. It's probably going to drop. Yeah, the indicators are a little bit overdone. So give it some time, but CLNE should be on your radar. EVBG, again, easy channel up at a support area. My only concern is that this is a very hard resistance that it hasn't broken in months, and it has a history of just dying off here. So this is definitely a stock that has the capabilities of just dying, so that makes me nervous. But again, it's at a good value. I just don't love it channeled up, and this thing then will channel down. You see how it's channeling down this whole way over here. See that? So I think it just channels up, channels down, channels up, channels down. And I think it may be time for a channel down. But again, it's a good area. Let's check the indicators. And again, 50 EMA bounce, it needs to hold that. So if it does hold that, it's a good look. But again, just price action wise, it's okay. I mean, fair price, oversold on stochastic. So you may get one more push before it drops off. But EVBG is just okay. IRWD, again, this trend line has been tested 3 times. This candle, though, is only 500, so I wouldn't even consider it. It's just like an option, looks like. I wouldn't even consider it that crucial, but again, it's showing some life here. And if it does show life here, and it taps the resistance, comes back down, then we can talk really good business. Only a 6% profit possibly. It's really trying to hold this area, but again, all you have is a trend line. There's no really support area in this area. You could argue right in this area, but it's only been tested twice. So it's okay. Let's check the indicators. It's holding the 200. That is significant. So if it holds the 200 and does well, I would definitely go long. It's holding it very well. RSI is a good price. Vortex should be a little bit lower, tad bit lower. Stoch is low. So IRWD actually is a good setup, but again, I need to see it really show life here to really go long on it, for sure. Then last is UPLD. Really easy channel up. I had to move the channel. I was watching it before, and I just kept waiting and waiting and waiting. And it finally got into the channel. I moved it. So good setup, but again, how close or how much room do we have to really run? I mean, these line up perfectly. Right, so I guess you could say it's an ascending triangle almost, but I would want to have seen this. That would have made it an ascending triangle, but it didn't reach all the way up, so I'm a little bit concerned. It is holding this support, and you could argue that this is a support area, right? But there's no strong line areas, right? There's no, like, see how evident this is of a support area? Like, of all this over here, and then this big breakthrough. See how that stopped there, and then here? That's a support area. It's too clustered. We can't tell yet. Let's check the indicators. So everything's fair because it's uptrending. So again, it's okay. It's a good setup. I think you can make money off of it. But again, it's so high up there. I think the best buy-in is the 200 EMA line, and we're just not there yet. But it's a good setup. UPLD needs to be in your watch list. It's a good setup. And there you guys have it. That was our meat and potatoes side dish kind of setup. Let me know what you think. I think that 40 minutes, 50 minutes is drastically too long, if I'm being honest with you. It is really long. But I think 20 to 30 is probably the sweet spot, and that's discluding not including the intro, which I'm going to cut down obviously as time goes on and folks know who I am. So 25-minute, 35-minute video at most is a good look. I'd aim closer for 20, but again, let me know what you think. How many stocks should I put in it? There's a poll live right now. Let me know what you guys think. With that being said, if you need anything else, please let me know. Comment down below. Everything is free until the COVID's over. No big deal. Have a good rest of your day. We'll see you guys next time.